Hello, I'm Ice37. Today I'll be going over the Survivor Any Percent route in Rainworld. So specifically, I've previously made a pretty lengthy guide that was in 4 parts earlier. And this guide will specifically be for people who are just getting into the game and don't want all that pizzazz. Or people who've played quite a lot and don't want to see the extreme amount of detail that I went into with the previous guide. So basically I'm just going to be doing a run. I'm going to be pointing out multiple different strats to go through different rooms. But effectively I'm just going to be doing a run and commentating and saying what I think as we're going through. So to start off, for any percent, to say you already have a save file here in Survivor, so to bring up the restart, just hold the R key and the restart game box will come up and you can check it and then be able to do new game. Obviously you don't want to do that. We already have this file cleared here. Additionally, if you're on PlayStation or Switch, you have to hold the button combination to make that box come up if you want to reset. You also have the 3 save slots as well, so you can have multiple saves. But if you want to specifically reset your Survivor or any other character, you would hold the 2 bumpers and then I believe what is either X or throw, not X, but the one on the left. I'm not sure what it is on PlayStation. I use an Xbox controller, as you may be able to see in the input viewer in the bottom right there. So, alright, so enough of that. But basically, we're starting the game. One thing you need to know is that if you're on PC, you can actually skip the intro cutscene once you actually start the game. So basically just holds the S key while this circle fills, and it won't even load the intro cutscene, drastically reducing the amount of time before the game actually starts. As the timer will actually start for the speedrun, any of them, when the circle fills, regardless if you're doing a new game circle, which actually fills a bit faster, or if you're doing continue reset, where if I bring up the box real quick, this actually loads really slow. But effectively, we want to be holding the S key to be able to, while we're starting the game file. I specifically set it up so the S key is my left trigger, and then I usually have live split to take splits, etc. Now, you don't need a timer, which is what live split is, to speedrun this game, but I like to use it to see improvements over different areas, and that means I have the number pad 1 to my right trigger, so I can just press the right trigger to do splits. So that's just me. Alright, I've done talking. We did 3 minutes, and I haven't even been playing the game yet, so we're just going to start holding the S key, and it starts. Alright, so straight out of the bat, we're going to be going into blind movement, and then we're falling. So the first time you load into a game, you actually, let's talk about that for a second. First time you load into a game for Rainworld, it actually takes a little bit longer to load. So normally if you really want to go for good times, you load the game, immediately click it out, and the next time you load a game, it actually loads a bit faster. And if you have the fast load, after about 3 seconds of holding right, I then press jump, and then you just be holding down and to the right, and then you'll be able to do a roll off that big fall there. Now, we're going to talk about just the beginning area movement. Effectively, you can do a lot of different things. If you don't want to care about the fall and do a roll, you don't have to care about it. But effectively, we would fall down in here. We'd want to jump out of the roll somewhere around here, try to land here, and then go up into a roll. I am not going to go specifically into what you can do, but effectively, if you don't really care about doing it perfectly, you can just fall down and just keep going. The basics will always be just following the route that I'm doing. But with that first area, you can get 3 rolls out of it. Effectively, we're just going to be moving on. We don't want to eat anything in the tutorial. But also, I'm gonna stop explaining too much and just keep going. You can boost right when your head is the pipe in the background. Be able to make it. You have to do a leap here. There's an invisible barrier if you don't do a leap. Very interesting. It forces you to learn it, other than doing like a roll, which is weird. We want to avoid this shelter and keep going. So I get to show off. So this next room has several different strats. I'm going to show off one that I developed and like quite a lot, and that being boost out, full roll, stab into it, and you throw a rock. And that's effectively the fastest way you can do it. You can also do this weird physics thing where you can kind of just pop off the top of the pole there, off of the slide. If not, you'd normally go by going up here and then rolling off the top here. You don't want to hit the ceiling, but it can happen. Alright, so we're going up. We want to eat at least 3 of the berries here. Actually, we're only going to eat 3 of the berries. If there's a lizard, you usually don't want to worry about it. So you want to eat 3 of the berries. Green lizards are only a threat if they have seen you for a long time. I could have gone by them. Effectively, unless a green lizard is doing a charge, or if they've seen you for quite a long time, they're really not a threat. So now I've eaten 3 berries. I want to hold one with me, or I can just skip out on it. And then I want to try to get a bat fly. Effectively, I want to have 5 food, and I want to waste the least amount of time to do it, so I'm not going to actually eat these. I'm just going to get to the shelter. There can be bat flies over the bat nip that's right there. But if you don't get all the food you want, you can also get these berries. At the end of the day, you want 5 food. You can boost out of here, and be able to jump up on this pole, off of a roll. You don't want to grab the pole plant. Other creatures can kind of mess it up and mess you up as well. You just want to walk off so you can go straight into a roll there, and then we're in. Alright, so now we're doing an important glitch. And that is karma caching. So we have the berry here. We don't have to actually eat it to be able to do it. Just having it with us means that we have technically 1 food. We go straight into a starve immediately. Continue, and then immediately quit out. If you do a lot of menuing, you can actually go straight into the quit out menu really fast. But effectively, if we quit out within 30 seconds of the game starting while we're in a starve, it will still quit the game, but because it's in that 30-second buffer period where you can quit out without losing karma, you don't lose the karma. The cycle doesn't actually progress, so it's actually still cycle 1 here. So we do it enough so that we're in karma 4, and that we're not starving anymore. And then we're on with our day. We don't need to sleep anymore. We can take safety saves, and I point the one that you would take out as we pass it. Or we'll just keep going. Remember that this man's a pole plant. A lot of better ways to go across that room than what I did. You can jump off that top block there. If you jump off this top block and throw something, you can go straight into a roll. I messed that up. You also slide downward into this pipe. You know what I'm talking about. We're just going. Doing the general route. Not going to worry too much about it. A lot of interesting ways to do this room. And I did none of them, but don't worry about it. You can do a lot of back throws off of slides to do it faster. Now we're going into the drainage. Drainage only has 3 creatures that you need to worry about, really. That being a purple, a green, and, well, there's actually 2 greens and an Axo. The Axo and the purple are the only real threat, unless the greens body block you. Alright, so now we're going to go into this next area. We're going to jump out of the roll off of coming out of that pipe. Do another one off of there. No, after you don't want to. To make this jump easy, throw a rock there. It can be difficult if you haven't done it too much. But after you practice it quite a lot, you can get it without the rock. But I would recommend saving a rock for that. Alright, so the safest way I would say, and the fastest, is to just pounce along these areas. Additionally, I'm going to pause it right now. So there's the 2 greens and the purple. You will often see the other green in the previous 2 screens we were just in, and they could body block you, but don't be afraid as long as they haven't seen you for an extended period of time. But effectively, we just want to cross this area. You can take the lower path, the upper path, or the middle path. The lower path requires you to spear the wall to get up. The middle path has the least amount of jumps you need to do. And the lizards will see you. And you want the purple to fall down here before you jump across, basically, on this last jump. Alright, so we're going on. From this point on, the axle can show up anywhere. There's times where it could come immediately out of this pipe with little warning. This pipe has very little warning, and just kill you. So we're going to go through. We'll see what we got. So now, something you need to know right now. We need to go in the middle pipe. A few ways to go down. You could boost out of the pipe as immediately as you come out, and just kind of finagle your way into the middle pipe. Or you can do a pounce where I'm going, or you can just take it slow and go through. So the axle can be anywhere. He could be at the bottom of the pipe we're going to, which is always something that's kind of worrisome. So you try to have a rock, but don't really worry about it. Or you could take it slow as you fall. So the axle came out of the right pipe there. Actually, wait. So that's good. Actually, wait. So we're gonna do a beginner strat that normally... So there's multiple ways. So Slugcat's looking up, so the axle's right there. No, never mind. So there's many ways to get past the Guardians, that being the main trick for any percent. And one of them is to use one of the Hazers here. So you want to grab the live one. You can then put the live one in your stomach. So don't do what I did and forget to actually get the Hazer, but actually go and get it. I'm going to talk about all the skips when we actually get to the Guardians, but just know that for the easiest one for a beginner to get, the Hazer is... You want to get the Hazer. Otherwise, we do a Guardian despawn. Which, yeah, I'll talk about that more as it happens. But that is the fastest skip that is at least semi-reliable. It's hard to... It's easy to mess it up as you go through. So with those rooms that I just went through, you basically want to be pressing jump just before you hit the surface so you can be boosting out of the water a bit much. Something about this geometry of these two bottom parts in the bottom right and left is that if you go into the pipes, or try to go into the pipes going upwards to your area, from an angle, you will often get pushed away. Something about that fall I just did, you want to be holding left just as you're falling out. That gives you a lot less chance of not grabbing this pole. Of grabbing this pole instead of falling down into the leeches, which is definitely bad. Alright, so we're going to keep going. You want to, if you accidentally come from the side, you want to back up to the middle and then go straight up into it. If you don't do that, there's a good chance that you could get pushed away magically by physics. I'm not exactly sure what happens, but it happens. Alright, so here I always do boosts off the horizontal sections. I'm not sure if that's the fastest parts you can do boosts. Alright, so something about this fall is that if you were falling, you tap left right on the screen transition between the upper and the lower screen. You should go, and then just keep holding down, you should go straight into this pipe like I did. If you are fast enough, you don't need to get air in the middle. And that being that this bottom left area, if you start running out of air, Slugcat will naturally float. And so you're just dead. You don't want that to happen. If you're not comfortable in it, I would get air. But don't worry about it. But you definitely do not want to run out of air in here. It's something you just kind of have to practice. You obviously can make it up through here without running out of air, the fast way I did it. Something else is that... Oh, I'll talk about it later, about swimming. But there's a lot of ways to swim pretty fast. You normally want to do a kind of a snaking motion, where you kind of just go up and down. Alright, you can boost out of this pipe and then fall backwards and be here. I can do a back throw there to go faster. And then this, it's fastest to just go as fast as you can with the wall jumps. Off the change in size, it can be a little bit different. Effectively, if you're not very good at wall jumps, if you jump off the wall, just immediately be holding the other direction. Once you start holding a direction, at least for this too wide section, just press jump. With this one, you have to time it a little bit, but effectively, if you want to be jumping off the right wall, make sure you're holding right, and then just press jump. Don't worry about Slugcat touching the wall so much, but that's what you want. Lots of ways to go across there. Do not fall down by any means. And we're going down. I suggest just holding down into the direction so you do rolls, or you can just slug against the wall accidentally like I'm doing. And now we're going. Should be able to do it in 5. You could be able to do it in 4 if you're crazy. The back throw there is often not beneficial. You want to try to make sure you're against the wall there, although you can take it fast if you want. Just because that last screen transition always comes faster than you think it does. Then we'll just go down. I did that really fancy, but we're just going. You can, if you time the jumps right off the rolls, just do that really, really well, just like I did. And that last part, you'll probably want something to throw to put you in. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about the safety save you can take. I'm not going to take it for the sake of this. We're just going to show it. So we're going to go in here. Immediately notice there's a shelter right there. There's always 4 berries here. Always 4. And that is just effectively the safety save you take if you want to just practice this lower area, etc. If you take that, all creatures will be in a lot different position than at least what I'm normal to do. So if you're in the middle of a cycle or at the beginning of a cycle, you'll get very different how creatures work. I really recommend that you learn some of the terrain in filtration. As if you don't know at least one way good through this area, you can get really lost. So right now, I'm over a giant pit, and there's just 2 wide blocks with 2 wide sections in between. And I try to slide out, and then just jump across into this pipe, and then I fall down, sliding against the edge. If I'm laying down, I don't make noise, so the moles don't hear me. If you're playing Monk, it's even less likely for moles to hear you. You really want to pay attention to where Slugcat is looking and what you hear, because that is what will give away where creatures are. Creatures can often bunch up like they did. I got pushed down with the lizard there. Remember that they are blind and that they need to touch you more often than not. Sometimes there's some are super hyper instinct, but they need to be touching you for a bit before they'll bite you. So don't be afraid just to fall down, be holding left, and then just be jumping up and be coming out. It is highly unlikely that there'll be one stuck up to this left, because they can't actually climb up this way up there. Alright, we're just going to keep going. We're going to fall down here. I'm going to do a back throw. A little bit more advanced stuff. You don't need to do it on that second one, because you hit the wall pretty hard. But right here might be a good spot to do it, because it is always completely flat. And then if you're in a pipe, just be picking up and be throwing stuff to go slightly faster. You don't want to do an actual boost, because that will slow you down a bit when we're just falling down. So you can die from this fall. You don't try to be too crazy with it. We're going in the depths. You can go straight into a roll there if you want. Normally you try to roll on the other side of that giant ball there, but I just got one on it. Just lucky. You can do a belly slide there. If you have a rock, you can throw a rock after you jump after that block I just jumped off of to get into a roll. If not, you can do the roll off that other block I jumped off of. Do a roll here off of a slide, just barely. And now we're going in to the main part of deaths. So there's technically 2 parts of deaths, and that's the upper area and the lower area. Oh, there's a special... I'm going to show off a special trick. I can't do slides right now. Special trick with this section right here, just because I like showing it off. That's space right here, back throw, into a roll, all the way across. If you... Obviously that's extremely advanced. It's not something you'd normally do, so you'd normally want to just do a pounce from here to go across. You do want to go up through here, not go down, because that's much slower. Or do a roll off, do another roll off, and you can get up here. If you don't get up here, we'll just go up like this, and then we're climbing up. Effectively, you just want to keep going left, and take the last pipe you see. So I recommend saving your slides in those sections until right before the pipe, so you can just go straight into it. This section can be quite annoying, because you might jump off of walls. You don't want to fall down early. But if you do, you can just fall down, and then you can go down through here. Don't worry about getting back up, etc. At this point, you want to be looking for a spear, and you want to keep it with you. because we'll need it soon enough. If you're in a too wide section, I recommend doing a slide and then just jumping a bunch of times so you're not slowed down after you jumped out of it, because you won't get a roll in those sections. You can get a fast fall into a roll here, but sometimes it's a little weird. So I want to make sure I have my spear in the other hand so I can do one of these. Nope, didn't do it right, whatever. Alright, so now we're coming up on this room. So this room, you may or may not know, this is the room of the Guardian despawn. And we will be walking through it for a second here. Although we're going to be showing the method with the Hazer off. But effectively, to do the Guardian despawn, you go all the way to this wall. You touch this wall, it loads in the room to our left here with the Guardians we want to despawn. We can enter either of these pipes, but a good way to set it up is to go into this pipe, exit, and now, right when we see this screen, we have 6.5 seconds to go down into this pipe. And then if you're not the fastest in the world, you'll probably just end up here in about 6.5 seconds. I'm not gonna go in there because I want the Guardians to spawn in to show the other skip. So it's always worth it to try this skip one way or the other, because if you get it, it's the fastest and more consistent one. If you don't get it and you're still beginning and you took the Hazer, we have the chance to do the Hazer. If you don't get it and didn't bring the Hazer, there's also another strat that I'll talk about in just a second that you can use that has a really low chance of making you get by, but it's still possible. Alright, so head tilty, man. Very rare. So effectively, if you didn't have a Hazer, you would just run at these guys and then jump right here and then just keep holding left. And then when you're really high up in the air, just throw rocks and then just try to make it into the pipe. It's hard to explain unless you've done it many times, but yeah, you want to do it off of the first aggro. You have to do it off that first one or you just won't make it. Unless you're super lucky or super good at the actual rock skip there. Alright, so for the Hazer, you want to aggro them once. You want to aggro them twice. Okay, probably farther away than I expected. And then we're going to aggro them a third time. Some people keep thinking that if you aggro them the third time, they will just kill you. And you are correct. If you aggro them 3 times really, really fast in succession. Like if I just got kind of thrown up and then I landed here and I went right back into them for the 3rd time, they would kill you. Which is technically a way to make the Hazer skip faster, but don't worry about it. So we're getting thrown away for a 3rd time. We want to make sure we're pretty far away, which is good. We're getting thrown to the other room. Other than the fact that it's kind of slow to go all the way back. Additionally, there's always a bunch of spears and stuff to make this going across here go faster. If I can actually get the back throws right. But doing belly slides, etc. is always going to be different timing in this room, just by a bit. Alright, so we've aggroed them 3 times. For the Hazer skip, the Hazer's in our stomach. Stand directly underneath this man. And now we take it out. And now we put him back in. Now we take him out. Now we put him back in. Oh, now we don't put him back in. He already aggroed. He's aggroed onto the Hazer because the Hazer is farther left than we are. Aggroes onto them. So now we walk over here. We throw the Hazer. Gravity still affects you despite the fact that they're targeting the Hazer. And then you come over here. You have very limited time to get over here, but it's still pretty decent. They will attack the Hazer until it dies, at which point they'll keep throwing it up and down for just a bit, and then they'll retarget the next creature that's closest, which would be you, because you're in the aggro range. You have a good window, but it'll take a while. That's effectively the skip that I suggest people to do. Just testing that for yourself and seeing what's good. I didn't actually expect them to aggro off the second me taking it out, but it seems like that's what it normally is, from what I'm noticing. So I recommend doing that. Alright, so at this point we're moving through depths. For the people who aren't terribly interested in seeing the end depths movement, you know the way enough, I suppose, and you could probably figure it out. Or people who, and you could probably stop watching this guide right now, and that's fine. But people who do want to see what I do for depths, will watch me keep going. Additionally, I moved a little bit to the left there Not for any reason of fastness, because you can kind of just fall down this section right here, but because the music trigger is actually over here, and you completely miss it. Although I feel like I missed it anyway. But effectively, the music trigger is off to the left. I want to go back and actually try to hit it. I don't know exactly where it is, but it's really easy to miss it if you fall just wrong. Okay, we're not going to worry about it. Whatever. But effectively, the music trigger there, if you take the corner too tight, you don't get it. I expected to get it there, but maybe we're just pausing and messing around too much. Effectively, we're going to be moving in silence from this on. So, effectively, I recommend just kind of rhythmically tapping grab as you jump, because you're probably not going to see any grabbables as you go on. You throw stuff, you always get that boost of momentum, and that can be quite useful to potentially line up different rolls that you wouldn't normally get. Focus on doing the jumps, but whenever you're here, just kind of just be pressing grab every time you press jump. You may do different size jumps as you go through, but I recommend just constantly pressing jump if you can. Try not to jump next to walls, etc., or into ceilings, obviously. But if you ever throw any rocks and you're jumping when you hit the ground, you keep the momentum that you got from throwing a rock. You should be throwing rocks all through here. I'm just kind of talking and not thinking about it, but alright, right here you can do a boost up here, throw a rock, you don't have to throw the rock, do a roll, and you should be able to go into another one if you do the roll really well, and then go straight into this pipe. Alright, so this area, you can kind of just play catch with yourself if stuff doesn't get stuck in walls, etc. You kind of jump up, and you can grab it on the way back, considering how everything's slowed down. As long as you actually jump right. I always mess this up when I'm thinking about it. Alright, you want to go up here. Make sure you don't go down right there. Right here, you can do a triple roll, that being throw a rock when you're up there, jump out a little bit early, and then jump there, and then you land on the lower section, and there we go. That's the triple roll. It's easy to mess that up, but that actually gives you a good amount of speed through there. Alright, so this is the second to last room in the game. It's a little bit interesting. You want to try to hug this wall, but don't touch it. And then jump out when you can. Usually early there. I didn't really jump out of the roll there. You want to go into a roll and jump out the top of the pile there and try to get as far as you can. The roll can mess up pretty easy there. Here, if you have any rocks or anything throwable with you, just effectively jump off this perch and just throw it. And then you'll miss this kind of catch that you can often fall into if you throw a rock. More often than not, you'll get caught in this kind of this precipice that holds you back. We're going to keep going. And now we're going to start the void swim. Now I'm going to swim in a very specific way because I'm on a controller. We want to make sure we don't get caught by this other little peninsula precipice there. Alright, so now we're in the void sea. Swimming is especially optimized for controller over keyboard, which I don't suggest you run one over the other. I suggest to play the game with whatever is more comfortable to you. But currently, swimming in the void sea is seen as faster on controller. Alright, so we're going to be... Effectively, it's faster because of the movement I'm doing. I'm just kind of snaking back and forth while doing the breaststroke at certain intervals. You want to watch Slowcat's hands to know when to do it. You're exiting a slow zone right about now, so the timing would be a bit different. Once Slowcat's hands have basically morphed back into their body, you can press jump again. But otherwise, you want to be doing the snaking motion, and when you go and point more in a left direction or more in a right direction, that right when you go at the apex of your inputs, you want to be pressing jump. I'm not exactly sure what the best inputs are, but that is what I use at least. Additionally, for the sake of not having our ears die, I'm going to turn down the volume right now. We don't need to hear everything. This is the one part of the run, of all runs, that can be quite annoying, just because it's completely out of your hands from this point on. Obviously, you can mess up swims and it slows you down, but the void worms can mess you up quite a lot. And you can do nothing about that, really. Just want to keep swimming as fast as you can, obviously swimming faster and not trying to not mess up. Gets you out of the void worm area faster. Additionally, once you get down past here, you can really see the particles that are floating by you, and that's how you can judge how good you are swimming. If the particles are basically moving at a constant fast speed past you, that's how you know you're doing it right, basically. But it kind of goes fast and then kind of slows down for a moment and then goes fast. You're kind of doing it a little bit wrong. Alright, so a lot of ways with this guy. You want to swim back up when you start hearing him. And then a lot of ways that you could consider manipulating this guy. I've always done the go limp tactic. Then after you see him doing a certain amount of movements, he'll activate this hook here. And then you just swim into it. And that's it. There's been strats with spinning around in circles, been strats with going limp. I considering the going limp is the better one right now, but who knows exactly what the best way to manipulate the AI is. Alright, so this is the break for the runner at this point. They can just kind of sit back and be like, yeah, if I do the last swim really well, this is the run. Or, oh, that was pretty good, and the void worms completely destroyed me, or etc. Not really too much to say, but other than, well, I'll say it when we get down there. Probably spin a lot of tales of what this game is about or what's happening at this point. It's great for just talking about it if you are streaming the game or not. As a presentation piece, but whatever. That's just me talking at this point. Alright, so now we're out. At this point, you want to go straight into swimming. If he leans left or right, he actually acts differently. If he leans left, he'll tug you back and then leave. If he leans right, he doesn't tug you back. Although he doesn't tug you back if he leans right, he actually leaves and then comes back up like he did now, faster than if he leaned right. You actually want him to lean left because the end doesn't spawn until he despawns off screen way up there, wherever he is right now. When you start hearing the music, it means the end has spawned in. You'll start seeing the gradient in the bottom right. The end is about at a 30-degree angle, which is also why controller has a bit of an edge in this case, because you can swim directly there. Although I always kind of go slightly off course anyway. Because usually this is the point where I stop looking at the screen and just kind of rhythmically do it, and then I look at it every once in a while, just to make sure I'm actually going in the right direction. But yeah, effectively just, it's a snaking motion for controller. You probably don't need to do the snaking motion for keyboard, because as far as I'm aware, it doesn't actually make you go faster. But we may learn otherwise. But we are swimming. Time will be when we see loading in the bottom left. It is possible that one of the faster slug cats could bump into you, make you go faster as well, but it's not something you should try for. Alright, and time is here. So the reason why we put time there instead of when it fades to white is because slug cat is, you can actually still control them. You can still hear the swimming motion if you do breaststrokes. Additionally, it's a lot simpler to have it on a consistent when the final load screen's loading in. Alright, so now the final cutscene, we're done. This is it for the guide. Thank you for anyone that's watching this. And yeah, one thing else I'm going to say is that with this final cutscene, seemingly if you're on PC, if you're a monk or hunter, it won't show the last screen with the tree. If you're survivor, it seems to be glitching out and not showing it every once in a while. I'm not exactly sure why. I used to theorize that it's you tabbing out, But sometimes it's been both ways. So sometimes it just doesn't show this screen. But yeah. So this was the Rain World Any Percent Guide. A little bit of a faster version. I still pause and talk about quite a lot of stuff, but shows the route off. I talked about some specific stuff, some stuff you should worry about. Otherwise, you run into creatures in outskirts. Unless it's a purple, you don't want to worry about it, and the chances of a purple running into you are pretty low. You can run into one in the joint section, coming off the really flat section right before you go down to the drainage area. Not sure if that explained it too well, but right before you, the room before where you drop and there's all the berries there, that secondary berries. There can be a purple there. But recommend you, if you're going fast, don't be afraid of lizards. And except for when you're in drainage, you want to make sure the purple jumps off before you get there, unless you're like really going for it. And that you should watch out for the axo, to that pipe I marked out that you shouldn't mess up on, and that you get the Hazer. The axo can also be down in the pipe that you want to go into. He doesn't like to go into the room you're trying to go into, that middle pipe when you fall down, but he will be sometimes sitting down there. So having a rock may not be a bad idea, but if you go fast enough, it's very difficult for him to grab you. Yeah, that's the basic idea, and I'm done. Alright, I'll be doing more guides like this in the future, and it's likely that I will be cutting out the depth section for these other guides, just to speed up on some things, but yeah, alright, goodbye.